I'm walking by the main freight corridor building in the corridor. That's when I got blown. I mean, the impact of the explosion threw me to the floor, and that's when everything started happening. All of a sudden, a big impact happened again, and all the ceiling tile was falling down, the light fixtures were falling. You know, you got to go clear across the whole from one to 2 World Trade Center.
This kind of pisses me off at the government.
And then all of a sudden, it happened all over again. Something else hit us to the floor.
Yeah, man.
You felt it.
I'm Canadian now. I'm pissed off at your government.
I mean, I know people that got killed in the basement. I know people that got broken legs in the basement. People that got reconstructive surgery because the walls hit them in the face.
So what are we looking at now? NORAD.
According to standard operating procedure, if an FAA flight controller notices anything that suggests a possible hijacking, the controller is to contact a superior. If the problem cannot be fixed within about a minute, the superior is to ask NORAD, the North American Aerospace Command, to send up or scramble jet fighters to find out what is going on. NORAD then issues a scramble order to the nearest Air Force base with fighters on alert. But although interceptions usually occur within 10 or so minutes,
those were toy planes,
in this case,
did you notice that?
80 or so minutes had elapsed before fighters were even airborne.
No, those aren't
It's
toy
a mind-bending anomaly. Not a single U.S. Air Force interceptor turns a wheel until it's too late. There are no jets at all.
What if they were so confused and had been so deliberately confused that they couldn't respond?
The reason that they didn't know where to go was because a number of conflicting and overlapping war game exercises were taking place. It involved the insertion of false radar blips onto radar screens in the Northeast Air Defense Sector.
Center Team U, we have a problem here. We have a hijacked aircraft headed towards New York. We need someone to scramble some F-16s or something up there to help us out.
Is this real world or exercise? Is this real world or exercise?
There was another exercise, Vigilant Warrior, which was in fact, according to a NORAD source, a live fly hijack drill being conducted at the same time. With only 8 available fighter aircraft, and they have to be dispatched in pairs, they were dealing with as many as 22 possible hijacks on the day of 9/11, and they couldn't separate the war game exercises from the actual hijacks.
In 2007, NORAD had 67 intercepts with 100% accuracy. And they did not intercept a goddamn thing that day.
That's retarded, dude. The commission now for 9/11.
Page 172. The U.S. government has not been able to determine the origin of the money used for the 9/11 attacks. Ultimately, the question is of little practical significance.
The American authorities have not managed to trace the source of the funding. And then the most amazingly disingenuous statement, ultimately, is it of little consequence. It is of massive consequence.
Doesn't it matter who paid for 9/11?
The collapse of Building 7 has been recognized as especially difficult to explain. The 9/11 Commission report implicitly admitted that it could not explain the collapse of this building by not even mentioning it.
President, why are you and the Vice President insisting on appearing together before the 9/11 Commission?
Because the 9/11 Commission wants to ask us questions. That's why we're meeting, and I look forward to meeting with them and answering their questions.
Why you're appearing together rather than separately, which was their request?
Because it's a good chance for both of us to answer questions that the 9/11 Commission is looking forward to asking us, and I'm looking forward to answering them. Let's see.
Do you think they should be able to stand up and speak their own words? They should go under oath. They should be, in public.
They appeared together. They were not under oath. No press or family members were allowed to attend. No recordings of any kind was allowed. No transcripts.
Don't you think that the families deserve to have a transcript or to be able to see what you
Adam,
said?
you asked me that question yesterday. I got the same answer, yeah.
The final report was a unanimous report. That means that if there was a single commissioner who had any objection about anything, that fact would be dropped from the report.
We have found out that he not only served on the transition team of the Bush administration, that he was a person who wrote a draft memo for the setup of the Bush administration's National Security Council, that he was an individual who wrote the preemptive war strategy that was eventually used for the war in Iraq, that he is a great friend of Condoleezza Rice.
Most Americans are idiots.
We want him to resign.
Most Americans
There's
are idiots.
literally nothing in the
this.
9/11 report that the Bush administration did not approve.
Pretty much.
We can understand, therefore, why the Commission, under Zelikow leadership, would have ignored all the evidence that would
Still got an hour to go over this, dude.
9/11 was a false flag operation intended to authorize the doctrines and funds needed for a new level of imperial mobilization.
I think they forced this recession. You know what? I'm thinking they forced the recession.
Yeah.
Don't you?
It all seems to line up. Terrorism. Look at this. This is great.
Systematic use of terror for generating fear.
Chemical, biological, nuclear weapons. Fanatics, terrorists, September 11th. September 11th, killers, September 11th. Terrorists, Al-Qaeda, nuclear weapons.
Terror.
September 11th. Terrorism.
Global terrorism now.
Terrorist. The terrorist.
It sounds like a game of Counter Strike.
Global terrorism. September the 11th. Terror. Weapons of mass destruction. September the 11th.
Okay, official 9/11 report.
Terrorists, no.
CT's rush middle,
The words are
but
hypnotically
the T's
repeated.
all rush A, and by the time they planted the bomb, it was too late.
And of course, believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. But it's the so-called war on terrorism that's in our faces practically 24/7 as the
then the terrorists got to A, and they forgot that the whole server was on hostage mode.
How was the war on terror won? The entire U.S. ruling class, ruling elite, comes to see terrorism as the preferred means, indeed the only means, to provide social cohesion, to provide an enemy image for the society to keep it together. According to neocon theory from Carl Schmitt, you have to have an enemy image in order to have a society.
That'd be pretty funny.
It's a very dangerous thing, because now it means that the entire social order, the political parties, intellectual life, politics in general, all based on a monstrous myth. Monstrous myth.
9/11 is Christmas for gay people. Just kidding.
God.
Dude, that guy has an awesome beard. Look at that. His beard is like Gandalf. That's Gandalf power right there.
Bullshit.
Technique used by governments to manipulate public opinion in order to further an agenda.
It's most likely the second one.
Look, the CIA has done in this country, what they've done to us is unbelievable. Look at the terrorist acts that have occurred. The CIA behind most, if not all of them. We had the Marine barracks. We had our embassy in Kenya. We had Pan Am 103. We had the USS Cole. We had Oklahoma City. We had the World Trade Center in 1993.
That helped the terrorists blow up the World Trade Center the first time.
Apparently this happened in 93
too. They got the driver's license.
The informant, the informant, a fellow named Salam, a 43-year-old former Egyptian army officer.
This was a practice
He was given the assignment to put the bomb together. And he went to his supervisor, his FBI supervisor.
It was a warm-up round.
You're right. And the FBI supervisor said, no, we're going to put a real bomb.
The FBI actually carried out the attack on the World Trade Center in 1993. They actually hired Ahmad Salam and paid him $1 million and gave him real explosives, a detonator, and told him to build a bomb and to give it to the foolish people that he was controlling to allow them to attack the World Trade Center complex.
Unfortunately for them, there were only 6 people killed, not enough to pass the legislation. So what happened is 2 years later, April 19, 1995, down comes Oklahoma City Murrah building, 168 people killed. 1 year later, the anti-terrorism legislation that takes away any of our constitutional rights and civil liberties is passed.
This was in for Grid in 2004, subway bomb.